All right, so we have a few more people joining us, but we'll get started so that we don't run late. So, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Christina, and I'm with Pulp Riot, and I'm super excited that we have Koi here today. So it's at Koi Hair. I'll put his Instagram in the chat. That's going to be doing great coverage with Faction 8. So, welcome, Koi. I'd like to remind everyone to just put themselves on mute. And if you have any questions, please do ask them in the chat. I'll be reading the chat back to Koi. So if at any point he's doing something using a technique or you have any questions about Faction 8, definitely ask them in the chat and we'll get him to answer those. So Koi, I will pass the floor to you.
Hey, thanks, Christina. Welcome today, guys. This afternoon, going to do great coverage, and I've got a live model today, actually a male model, which a lot of people are always like, wait, what? Guys, gray hair, coloring. So we're going to talk about his gray hair coverage. On this side, you can see it's his natural. I've already got this side complete. This is the copper color. I'm going to talk about the formulation and what I used and why. So we're going to talk about Faction 8. And I've got my bowl already pre-mixed. So I'm here in Calgary, Alberta, and owner of Koi Hair the Salon. And yeah, let's just get to painting, and I'll start talking about Faction 8 while I'm painting and what I'm using. So already pre-mixed everything in here. It's super great consistency, easy to use. I'm going to just mix it a little bit more because I did use the booster. So my products to date, 10 vol, equal parts, 1-to-1. Booster, like I said, so it's a -33 gold booster. 12-4 interstellar copper, and 9 double natural. So my formula I will talk about is 5 grams of 9 double natural, 5 grams of -33 booster, and 20 grams of 12-4 interstellar copper. So now you can see the consistency. It's a really cool color cream. It's going to look very vibrant in yellow, but it gives us a really great coverage of this peachy color result. So as a salon owner, I actually absolutely love using Faction 8 because it actually has such a consistency and texture that I don't need to use as much product. I'm using usually 5 to 10 grams less color per application because of the consistency of the product and the spreadability. The shine is unreal and the coverage, plus it's really cool that it doesn't actually stain the hairline around the sensitive areas or the areas that need extra coverage. So don't be afraid to really saturate the grays. And on short hair, I like to use a comb, and I'm just going to turn a little bit more. I like to use a comb and push the hair upwards, and then the little hairs that flick down, I paint those to get that heavy saturation. And then I really like to put that on thick, lay the color on so that it keeps all the color trapped in the all the hairs trapped in the color so it gets to fully process on each strand. So this formula, even though he's 100% gray, and we're only using 5 grams of the 9 double natural, it gives us enough coverage to give full coverage. The processing time is a full 35 minutes. And no sooner, because you'll want to take it off because you're used to taking off color at 20 or different times of processing. So the full 35 is going to give us the 100% coverage. I'm using today just a 10 vol peroxide because his hair isn't too coarse or thick. You can boost it up to about a 15 vol if you add in equal parts 10 and 20, and that can create a 15 vol peroxide. Or if you need extra coverage for the coarser, thicker hair, you can use a 20 vol peroxide. Just about to the top here. So we actually did this formula on him a couple months ago, and the fade out is unreal because as you can see, there's still a little bit of gingery on the top of these hairs. And the shine was the craziest difference because his hair texture and shine just ramped up to the max. So then same thing with using the comb, I pull a little section and then paint it. I'm really saturating to lay it on to make sure that every hair stays in the cream. So do you guys like to use random formulations and adding in stuff like boosters, interstellar, and completely changing up and getting creative with your hair color? I want to hear if you guys have a favorite interstellar color even. If you guys are Pulp Riot or Faction 8 users. I know since I've hired on my staff, she's been having such fun with getting creative and starting to add and mix and create, because now that they know the rules, they can bend the rules, which is super fun with the Pulp Riot brand. You can really get artistic and creative with every one of your formulas to really customize it to make it a unique formula for each client that sits in your chair. There we go. So then also there's a really good tip going around lately with the hairlines or stubborn short hairs that like to pop out of color. And you can use a perm paper on the side. For my guy right now, though, we don't need to do that because his hair doesn't like to pop out. But I can also just lay on the color a little bit thicker just to make sure that all the hairs are there. Or you can get that little perm paper, press it on, and then it'll also keep all those hairs there. It'll also give it a little bit of incubation, which is a bit of heat to help process and make sure that it gives that, get that coverage. With our color though, we don't need heat to do the processing. It is room temperature. And yeah, so if we are going to now let this process for 30 minutes, if you have a smartwatch, I tend to just tell my Siri to start a timer for 30 minutes. And so we process that. But what I'll do is I'll just turn his head here and get him a little closer to the camera so we can show you that end result. So as you can see, it's like this beautiful peachy copper, quite like almost what he naturally would be as he would grow and age as a redhead. I am a redhead as well, so I love creating gingers and more fun, creative, unique color combinations. So the 9 Double Natural, 12-4, as well as the 3-3 Booster. So that creates really beautiful ginger, natural redhead, gray coverage, instead of just being like a straight up 6 Double Natural, solid, dark natural brown, 100% coverage. So the change and the difference is that you get to create and play with your formulas. And again, like I said, it was just with a 10-volt peroxide in this at a 1-to-1 ratio. It'll be a 35-minute process. The 12-4, 9 Double Natural, as well as the Gold Booster look very unique on their own on the swatches. But when you get into actually mixing them together, they create such a really interesting peachy color as we get on this finish here. So as a salon owner, again, Faction 8 has been such a great line because I get to have a small boutique color brand at the back bar that I get to play around with the rules, bend the rules, break the rules, kind of like play around whichever direction I want to take it into. Our reds are vibrant, our natural series, so our reds are -6. Our natural series are cool based, gets us the 100% coverage. It's that more struggling, coarser, thicker, resistant hair, then the double naturals come into play. And that's when you can use more like the 10 or 20 volt peroxide. That will give you a full solid opaque coverage. So if you are worried about it looking too dark because of the 100% coverage of the hair, you can go a level lighter. So if it's a 5 double natural, you might want to do a 6 double natural because it is 100% every hair strand gets colored the same way. Yeah, we also, if you don't have our new color books have our level finder and grade percentage finder. So that is a great tool to help boost and figure out and take out the guesswork of the grade level, as well as the level of the hair, as well as it gives us the underlying pigment of what the hair has at each level. Would love to hear, I know the chat, if you guys put anything in there, because I would love to hear like what your favorite Faction 8 is, like what's one of your go-to grade coverage formulas, or if you have any struggles with grade coverage, because I'd like just kind of Q&A now.
Yeah, for sure. If anyone has any questions or any formulation questions, or maybe you had a client that you're about to have, or maybe had in the past, and you'd like to know a formulation for it, put it in the chat. I don't think we're getting anything in the chat.
Yeah, so it's like grade coverage. These are the facts. These are what they are.
Exactly.
So it's like,
Well,
okay.
well, if there's no questions, I mean, we can wrap it up. It's a pretty quick class.
Yeah, I mean, great coverage. That's kind of how I deal with it, how it's simplified, how our brand has made it super easy and takes out the guesswork. It's been such a change using Faction 8 over other brands because of how simple it is, how the texture of the product is, how it doesn't stain the hairline. Even I've used a 3 natural, and the lady was worried that her hairline would look like she had like the fresh color tiara, and it completely rinses off, which is amazing. So it doesn't even look like a client has been in the salon or freshly colored their hair.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Koi. So if there's no questions, again, it's at Koi Hair. You can always send Koi a DM if you do have a question later and you're too shy to type it in the chat. We're always here for you. And thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. I'll post the end result later on after he's done processing, and that'll be up on my page.
Sounds good. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks so
Bye.
much.